have been trying my luck with street photography for over 10 years now, but I have to admit, it's only the last few years I have started understanding what street photography is really about. Along the way, I picked up a bunch of lessons that not only helped me take better photos, but also to use photography as a way to express myself. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 lessons that street photography has taught me, so you don't have to wait a decade to discover them yourself. The goal isn't just to make you a better street photographer, but also to remove some misconceptions that might be holding you back. And before we continue, smash that like and subscribe button, especially if you want to see more videos like this. Alright, let's get started. Let's start with something very interesting. I'm going to show you two photos that I took recently. One of them was shot with an 8-year-old APS-C camera and a cheap kit lens that cost me around $400. The other one was taken with a modern full-frame camera and a prime lens that I bought for around $2,500. Here are the photos. Have a close look. Can you tell which camera took which photo? I don't know about you, but I certainly can't. These photos have exactly the same image quality, and even the blacks look equally deep in both of them. So here you go. You don't need a Leica or a flagship camera to take great street photos. When you're starting out, it's easy to blame your camera or to think that upgrading your equipment will suddenly make you better. But the truth is that photographers make the photos and not cameras. If you own a camera, most likely you don't need to upgrade. If you don't own a camera, you certainly don't need to spend thousands of dollars to buy one. So instead of spending time reviewing gear, grab what you already have and start photographing. One of the best ways to miss a good shot is by staring at your camera trying to nail the perfect shutter speed and aperture. Once you start messing with camera buttons and dials, the moment you wanted to capture is already gone. Street photography happens fast, and it's far more important to pay attention to your surroundings rather than trying to nail the perfect camera settings. And trust me, a slightly blurry or noisy photo is better than no photo at all. That's why I always try to automate as much of my camera settings as possible. Depending on the light conditions, I use a fixed aperture and shutter speed, which I don't change, and then I set my ISO to auto. If for any reason I need to adjust my exposure, I only mess with the exposure compensation dial. Others like to use aperture or shutter priority or even the P mode. In any case, the idea is the same. Keep it simple, automate most of your settings, and focus on capturing instead of messing with dials and buttons. Street photography is one of the few photography genres that you have zero control over your environment. Things change fast, people move unpredictably, and half of your time you are hoping to be at the right place at the right time. Having to rely on luck shouldn't discourage you from taking photos, but instead it should excite you to go out and shoot with zero expectations. When you remove the pressure from getting the perfect shot, this is when you slow down and you start noticing. And this is usually when the magic happens. Of course, even with all the luck on your side, the photo won't take itself. You still need to show up, be prepared, and press the shutter when the moment appears. And yes, there will be days where nothing good happens and you won't manage to take any good shots. But that's okay. In street photography, the destination isn't the goal, the journey is. So keep showing up, keep walking, and eventually luck will meet you halfway. There are so many rules out there about the perfect composition, framing, or sharpness, but in reality, in street photography, all that matters is the moment. You can have a perfectly composed frame, but if the moment isn't there, the photo will never have anything meaningful to say. Some of the most iconic street photos are slightly blurry or technically imperfect, but they work because the moment is unforgettable. Even though it's important to understand some basic photography principles, I also believe that it's equally important to forget all these rules. Don't go out chasing leading lines, the rule of thirds, or the perfect symmetry. Focus on what really matters, like gestures, interesting reactions, and those rare moments that only happen once. So next time you're out there shooting, remember the following. A technically perfect photo with nothing happening is forgettable. A technically imperfect photo with a powerful moment is something that will stay with you forever. This is important, especially when shooting with 28 or 35mm, the focal length where most of street photography happens. If your photos feel uninteresting or you're constantly cropping to make your subject stand out, then that's a sign that you need to get closer. The moment you reduce the distance, a whole new world opens up. Suddenly the scene becomes more intimate, emotions become more clear, and your photos feel alive instead of distant. And I know, this is not something easy to do, especially when starting out with street photography. But every time you go out to shoot, challenge yourself to take a step closer to your subject. It will feel uncomfortable in the beginning. It takes a lot of practice to go past that hesitation, but once you do, you will see dramatic improvement in your work. There are so many things to say about layering, but for now, let me tell you my experience with it. The first time I saw a layered photo, I was blown away. I was so impressed that I thought this is the only kind of photographs I want to take for the rest of my life. This is until I went out and I tried to take my first layered photo. Nothing had prepared me for how effortless these photos look, but how difficult it is creating them. A good layer photo has multiple subjects at different depths from the foreground to the background, all perfectly aligned. On the street where everything moves fast, capturing a perfectly layered photo almost feels like a miracle. The key for mastering this technique is patience. Start with working with 2 layers first, and then slowly add more to create depth. The most important thing to keep in mind is that the subjects should not overlap with each other. Another thing that helps is to have a simple background with not many distractions or patterns. Layering is incredibly hard, but capturing a perfectly layered photo is one of the most rewarding feelings that street photography will ever give you. After shooting in the streets for many years, I have noticed that in most cases people will ignore you once you photograph them. Of course, that will vary by location, and in some countries people might be more cautious about being photographed, but in general, most of the people are too busy or too distracted to pay attention to you. How people react often depends on your attitude as well. If your body language is relaxed and confident, people will feel comfortable in your presence. If you're tense or you look like you're doing something sneaky, it will certainly trigger the defenses. Sometimes, even if your attitude is right, some people might ask you why you took their photo. That's perfectly fine. In these cases, it's very important to be polite and simply explain what you do. And if someone asks you to delete their photo, just do it. There is no reason to ruin anyone's day over a picture. So next time you're out photographing, remember to relax, smile, and once you take your photo, move on. Street photography isn't just about shooting, but it's also about training your eye. And one of the best ways to improve your skills is by studying the work of photographers that inspire you. When you go through their work, you start understanding their thinking and how they build a narrative. And one of the best ways to do that is by reading photobooks. Photos are meant to be printed and looked at over and over again. And no, scrolling through Instagram is not a way to do that. You will understand what I mean once you finish your first photobook. There is something unique about holding a photo in your hand that makes it stay in your mind. Try to study why a photo works and not only why you like it. Study how the photographers approach a scene, what do they include in the frame, and how they place the subjects. Photographing might be how you practice, but photobooks is where your vision grows. A good edit can polish a shot, but it will never turn a weak photo into a good one. What really shapes your growth is the ability to choose the right photos to share. As photographers, we take thousands of photos, but only a handful truly say something. Learning to identify those few is a skill on its own. It means being honest with yourself and asking, does this photo really say anything? Does it make me feel something? Would it really grab my attention if it was not mine? Choosing which photos to leave out or delete is far more important than choosing which ones to keep. Learning to let go is what really helps your photography grow. Sequencing is also important. When showcasing a set of photos from a particular event or place, how you place the photos next to each other is crucial for completing the narrative. In general, as a rule of thumb, I would say spend 90% of your time curating your photos and 10% editing. Editing cleans your photos, but curating defines your photography. Street photography is often seen as a lonely sport, but it doesn't have to be. In the beginning, it's usually you and your camera trying to figure things out. But the more you keep exploring, the more interesting it gets. As you dig deeper, you soon discover a huge community where people come together to share their love for photography. Photo walks, workshops, exhibitions are all a great way to meet people who share the same curiosity about the world and be inspired by their stories. The friendships you build through a common passion are some of the strongest simply because they are not forced or created by circumstances. They happen naturally and by choice. So yes, street photography can be lonely, but if you want it, it can also introduce you to some of the best friends you will ever make. But now that you know all these lessons, how do you actually put them into practice? Pick one that really resonated with you and focus on practicing it over the next few days. For example, next time you go out to shoot, try to get a little bit closer to your subject by keeping a more confident and relaxed body language. Or join a photo walk or a photography exhibition in your local community with the goal of meeting other photographers like you. This is a great way not only to socialize, but also to be inspired by the work of other great photographers. I'm also curious to know what other lessons street photography has taught you. Feel free to drop a comment below and share your experience. And that's all for today, folks. Happy shooting and see you again next time.